Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be going over and showing you how to install the Curt T-connector trailer wiring harness here on our 2017 Ford Edge. So your trailer wiring harness is going to be one of the few things that we need in order to successfully tow a trailer with our Edge. In addition to this, we're going to need a trailer hitch and a ball mount / hitch ball, all of which we carry here at eTrailer. Now simply put, our trailer wiring harness is going to transfer the signals from the vehicle to our trailer so we can let other motorists out on the road know what signals we're going to be making, allowing us to arrive to our destination safe and sound. This is not only a safety issue, this is also a legal requirement in every state. So this kit is going to provide us with a pretty standard and basic type of trailer connector. That's a 4-pole, otherwise known as a 4-way flat. This is going to transfer all the basic lighting functions such as the stop and turn signal circuits and the running light circuits. So this is going to be the one the majority of trailers are going to have. There's another common one out there called a 7-way or a 7-blade. That's only going to be on trailers that have electric brakes. So as long as you don't have one of those, chances are this 4-way is going to be what you need. But if you do need that larger 7-way, we do offer adapters here that'll work with this harness. So this is a completely plug-and-play kit, so we don't have to worry about splicing any wires into the vehicle, and it also has a powered harness. Therefore, it's going to draw power from the trailer lights for the vehicle's battery, not the vehicle's tail lights. So you don't have to worry about any overloading issues or any issues with the trailer affecting the lights on our vehicle. Everything is going to be separated out. So when we're ready to use our trailer connector, you can see it's just going to be draped out the hatch here. We have plenty of room to attach this to our trailer, but when we're not using it, it's actually stored inside the vehicle. And I know a lot of people don't like that, but it's really the best option for those people who aren't towing every day, because we want to keep this protected, especially the terminals inside here. We don't want any water getting on them, possibly causing corrosion and lighting issues. So when we're not using it, we're just going to open up the hatch here. And then I like to just tuck it up, place it in the back corner here. You could even lift open the floor covering and store it under there. And then when we are draping it out the back bumper here, there's going to be a weather stripping all the way around, so you're not going to pinch or damage those wires. Just make sure you steer clear of this latching mechanism. So now that we've gone over the wiring harness a bit, let's go ahead and jump into the installation so we can show you how to get it installed. I would give yourselves around 1 to 2 hours depending on your experience level. You really don't need any complicated tools for this. You will need a way to crimp and splice wires, but aside from that, everything's straightforward. Let's go ahead and jump into it now. First step of our installation today, we need to open up the trunk on our vehicle here. Go ahead and reach in here, grab our floor covering, and pull that up and out. So next we're going to be removing this threshold panel here. Now on the inside, you're going to have these little push pin fasteners, one on either side. So you're going to take a trim panel tool or a flathead screwdriver to get up underneath that, and then you should be able to just pry it out. So that's what one looks like here, and again we have one on the other side. Now we're going to pull up on our threshold panel here. We may need a trim tool to release some of the clips underneath there. So there we go, and there's those little locking tabs that are on the bottom that were holding it in place. Next, we're going to come underneath the vehicle, and either side we're going to have these little panels behind the rear wheels. We need to remove these. There's going to be 2 nuts on top, 2 screws on the bottom. The nuts on the top we're going to remove with a 10mm socket, and the screws on the bottom we'll use at a 5.5mm socket. Next, we're going to be removing these little storage trays in the bottom of the floor here. So you should just be able to pull up on each of the corners to release them. Next, over here on the driver's side, we're going to be prying up the side panel so we can lift it up into the side. So the reason we need to do this is there's actually going to be a grommet located back and down in the corner in here. It is kind of hard to see, but if we just reach down there, we should be able to pull it up with our fingers. So now we're going to take our wiring harness here, and there's 2 things we're going to grab out of here. The white ground wire and then our 4-pole flat connector. I'm going to route these up here like this. The rest of these wires are going to be sticking down through that hole there, so we're just going to feed them through that hole where we just removed the grommet. Next, we're going to be removing the tail light. So we want to go ahead and take a small flathead screwdriver or a pick tool and pry open that section there. And that's going to reveal a torque screw that we'll remove with a T25 Torx bit. Now I'll pull the taillight assembly out and away from the vehicle here and disconnect the electrical plug. Next, we need to take a piece of airline tubing or something similar. I'm going to go ahead and stick it down behind the bumper here, just directly beside the connector that we just removed. I'm going to fish that all the way down as far as I can go. Hopefully it comes out of the vehicle somewhere where we can grab it. So we've got our airline tubing fished out underneath the vehicle here. Now it wasn't quite that easy. I did have to reach back up there and grab it, but once you have it, we are going to go ahead and connect our wires to this. So you have a couple different options. In the instructions, they want you to remove the connector for the factory taillight behind the bumper there and then pry outwards on the bumper so you can sneak the connectors up through there. I've tried this before and it's not really easy. There's not a lot of space behind that bumper there to get your two connectors up through there. So to save myself time, this is what I've been doing and it works out pretty good for me. I'm actually just going to cut these wires here just like this. And then I'm going to reconnect them once I have these wires up in our taillight pocket there. Now you don't have to do this. You can use the instructions and use the method they show you, but I found this is a heck of a lot quicker, so this is what I prefer to do from now on. So I'm just going to take our wires here and I'm going to tape them to our airline tubing. And then once I get them on there, I'm going to go back up top there, pull that airline tubing, bringing our wires up into the engine, or bringing our wires up behind where the taillight pocket is. So we went ahead and just pulled our wires up into this little cavity here. So now I'm going to split them apart and strip some of the ends off so I can start attaching our connector. So in order to do this method, you will need additional butt connectors that don't come in your kit, but those are pretty cost effective and you can find them pretty much anywhere. But again, I'll leave the choice up to you which method you choose to do. Having done this a couple times, I much prefer this one here. So you can see we have our connectors crimped back on with some butt connectors. Now we're just going to plug everything back in. It's only going to go in one way, and then I'll go ahead and re-secure our tail light on this side. So now that we have our tail light on, we're going to come back inside the vehicle here to where we have our converter box sitting. We're actually going to go ahead and mount that. So I'm going to take some double-sided tape that comes in your kit, stick it on the back of the converter box, then peel the other side off, and then we'll just turn it around, find a nice flat spot in here that we can attach it to. Next, we're going to take a self-tapping screw that comes in our kit here. We're going to secure our ground wire to the floor here inside our trunk. Next, we're going to take that grommet from earlier, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little slit in here with a razor knife. And then I'm going to reinstall that grommet, and we'll just simply place our wires through that little slit there so we can reseat it. We're also going to get some silicone in our kit, so I'm going to go ahead and use that to fill up that grommet a little bit more, give us more of a tighter seal. So now we've got pretty much everything wrapped up inside the vehicle here. We're going to go ahead and install everything that we removed previously, and then we'll finish our installation underneath the vehicle. Now our trailer connector here, I'm just going to bundle this up and I'm going to store it sort of where these storage panels are and our spare tire, just down in that area for when we're ready to use it. So now we're going to come back underneath the vehicle here, and directly down from that grommet that we just sealed up, we should have our connector with our green wire. So this is going to be routed over there to the passenger side of the vehicle, back behind the bumper here. I'm probably going to zip tie it to the top of the trailer hitch there to keep it out of the way of the exhaust. And then we're just going to route it up into the taillight pocket over on that side using the pull wire technique that we showed you over here with that airline tubing. So let's go ahead and get that done now, and then we'll show you where we connect it there at the top. So you can see we have our wire into this taillight pocket, and I just went ahead and used another butt connector to attach the wire. So if you're going to use this method, you will need 4 additional butt connectors not supplied in your kit. But now we'll just go ahead and plug everything back in and reinstall our taillight just like we did on the other side. So now finally, we should only have one wire left. That's going to be the black wire that we routed through the grommet underneath the vehicle here. This is our power wire. We have to run this up to the 12-volt battery in the engine bay. So in your kit, you're going to get a long wire loom here that we're going to use along with a yellow butt connector. Attach one end to your wire, the other end to the one coming from the converter box. And now we're just going to route this wire all the way from the rear of the vehicle up to the front of the vehicle into the engine bay where our battery is. We're going to go ahead and knock that out now, then we'll show you the path that we took. We're going to start here where we made our connection point. I went ahead and used some duct tape there to seal up our butt connector, and then we're just going to go up and over the subframe. There is some lines you can zip tie it to up there, so you don't have to worry about it falling down or getting tangled up in the suspension. It's going to come out here. We just went down and around the gas tank. We have some existing lines down here we can zip tie it to as well, up and over here. And at this point, we used a 7mm socket to remove this screw here, and then a 10mm to remove these two nuts over here. And then at this point, we just have it zip tied to the brake lines going all the way to the front of the vehicle where we have it stopping about right here. Then we're going to go up top, use a piece of airline tubing, stick it down through the engine bay so we can tie our wire to it and pull it up into the engine bay. So we've got our power wire into the engine bay here, and one thing I like to do is that as soon as we get it up here, I like to take a zip tie and secure it to something, that way it doesn't ever fall back down. Just like that. And now we can go ahead and make our connection to the positive battery terminal, which is just going to be conveniently located right in here. So we're going to take our fuse holder here. One end has a butt connector, the other end has a ring terminal. And we're going to splice this onto our power wire. Now once we get that on there, we're going to take a socket here and remove this nut on the positive battery terminal so we can slip our ring terminal over there and then re-secure the nut. Now we'll go ahead and tighten this back down. Now the only thing left to do is to install our fuse into the fuse holder. And now we're ready to test out our wiring. So now that we have everything hooked up, we're going to go ahead and plug in a little 4-pole tester here so we can check to make sure everything's working correctly. So here's our brake lights, left turn, right turn, and then finally our running lights. Now keep in mind, if you don't have these little 4-pole plug-in testers, that's totally fine. You can use your trailer. Keep in mind though, if there's any issues on the trailer, they will carry over to your testing on the vehicle. So with everything working correctly, that's going to do it today for our look and installation of the Curt T-connector trailer wiring harness here on a 2017 Ford Edge.